Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to Unresolved Mong Topics, the podcast where we go beyond the surface and challenge the narratives that have been told or never been told. I'm your host, Lou, and this is TaiChiMing Zhang. And in this space, we're diving deep into the missing pages and misunderstood legacies and the unresolved truths of Hmong history, identity, and culture. Whether you're Hmong, male, curious, or critical, this is for those who aren't afraid to ask hard questions, to reimagine our origins and wrestle the complexity of who we really are. So today's episode is it's gonna be a really powerful one, so stay tuned and let's explore what's hidden, silenced, or forgotten. This is Unresolved Hmong topic, so let's begin. Okay, so let's introduce ourselves. Um,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah. So my name is Lu Vang, the podcast guy of this channel. How about you, TaiChiMing?
Okay. Yeah, first of all, thank you, Lou. I want to thank you for doing this, and I'm grateful to know you uh, through social media. Uh, just so the audience know, we never met each other, and I agree to do the interview or talk show with Lou because I feel that Lou really wants to know the truth about Hmong history. So we hope everybody will tune in. And back to you, Lou.
Oh. That. Okay, so the first question is, what prompted you to take a different approach, a different direction from the more well-known narratives that we've been told?
Um, yeah, I like to rephrase your questions so people will understand our discussion. Um, what you mean to ask is why did I go along with, or why did I not go along with the new narrative of the male history that has been taught to the public and our children for the last few decades? Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Um, I initially believed that we were male, 南蛮百叶, as you know, people defined since the last several decades. But somehow, when I went to visit the People's Republic of China back in 2007, a lot of the things just went add up. So I decided to attend Yunnan University mainly to learn Mandarin. So, I can be proficient. That way, it will be easier for me to do some research on the Hmong people. So while I'm there in the university, I visited our people. And it's very interesting that our elders told me that our history is a lot different from what the ancient male history that has been taught in school or in the media, for the last few decades. That's why I decided to look into the history, both Hmong history and male history. And it turned out that both histories and people exist, during ancient time. That's why I decided to document our true history with my book, Hmong China History and Heritage Preservation. Now, in my book, I stress that Hmong history is not the ancient male history. Um, hopefully that answers your question, but back to you.
Yeah. That. Um, how difficult was it for you to begin this journey, uncovering and sharing Hmong history?
Um, it wasn't easy because when I first started this journey, I did not speak Mandarin nor uh, the ancient Hmong language in the north. So I had to rely on people from the beginning. But as my Mandarin improved, it got easier. I spent years at least 5 years studying and research before I publish my book and share what I have uncovered. It wasn't really it wasn't really ready, but because I heard that Mong in Minnesota was going to create a statue of Chio for the Hmong in the United States. So I went ahead and published with what I have uncovered during that time, which is 2013. Now, those who were pushing for the male agenda weren't happy when my book first came out. Like I said, it wasn't easy. But back to you.
Dang. How unhappy were they? Like when you said that they weren't happy.
Huh? Excuse me.
Like when you said that they weren't happy about you publishing your book, like how did that what was the reaction?
I think the it's only a few groups that were pushing the male agenda,
Mm-hmm.
especially in Minnesota and a few people in California, because during that time they had already begun teaching male history in the universities and I believe in the public education. So when my book came out, it's a total different thing. It's the opposite, and I know that um, a few people weren't happy, but I haven't, like I say, since then until now, um, I haven't had any one that is willing to come out and challenge my research and my study, or at least my theories and my what I have found.
Oh, I see. Speaking of history, like, are they still pushing that male history upon us even today in schools?
Yes, I believe so. I
Mm,
believe that um, male Namapa years history is being taught to our children since the end of the 20th century, which is in the late 90s. So it's been going on even today. So you think about it, it's been almost 3 decades since the public education in the United States has been teaching male history to our Hmong people.
mm. So, like, how do you even respond to people who say, well, male history is Hmong history, and it's more accurate than what you're saying?
Like I say, as I just stated, that both Hmong history and male history exist, and there were two different people. They both have different cultures, different belief systems, different languages. They have different names, pretty much. Now, if you regarded that your heritage is male, it means that your ancestors were Mayi, meaning your ancestors were Ma and Yi people. Uh, that also says that you are Nama and Baiye people, of Samuel people, pretty much. Now, you have to understand that if you accept the Mayi Nama Baiye heritage, then male is correct. But if your culture and your elders, teach you that Fati Mong was your protector, and you are the people of Mongolia, or your ancestors came from Mong Cha, or Cha country, then ancient male Ma history is not your Hmong history. I appreciate your question, and I want to ask our audience and those who are teaching and promoting ancient male Yi, Nama Baiye history, especially Samuel and Jolie history, that they belongs to our Hmong people. Now, why even talk about Hmong unity? Why even saying that Hmong needs to love Hmong and protect the Hmong culture and Hmong history when you are the ones who are embarrassed of our ancestral Hmong name And you are actually the one that are teaching um, Miao my history and heritage to our people and children. Now, why are you turning a blind eyes when you already have evidence that Miao were my people and Miao heritage is my heritage? That's how I would respond, if they were to ask such questions. But back to
Mm,
you.
that's good. That's really good. But how would you respond to people who said that who say this? But you're asking us to rethink everything. But what if you're the one who's wrong? What makes your version more trustworthy than others?
Well, I would ask them, like, do you believe your elders of what they're telling who you are? Or do you believe what others people are saying about you, right? And I think that will make one think that um, I'm sure that what our elders is telling us has some truth to it. Look, we have the right to choose our father and mother's side of the history, especially if your father is Mong and your mother is Mai Mel, right? Now, you do have the right to choose whether you want to be Mel Mai or you want to be Mong. And, even though it's the other way around, let's say your mother is Hmong, right? And your dad is actually a Mel Mai Nama person. Now, you do have the right to choose your history and your heritage. Now, this is very simple. Um, one can choose which heritage one wants to retain and to continue. What I'm teaching is very clear that we, the people, we, the Hmong people, are descendants from the Hmong ancestors. We may have blood mixed with the Miao, Mai, and Yishua, but our culture is still the Hmong culture. Our name is still the Hmong and not Miao, you know, not Miao of the Nama, Bai, or Mai, or Dongyi. And I strongly believe I cannot be wrong. If those who are promoting that, our name is derived from Miao Mai Dongyi or considered to be correct, then my teaching that Mong is derived from Mong, like Mong of Mongala, Mong of Mong Tuo Cha, right? And Mong from Fati Fotai Mong people. I believe this version is more accurate. The problem here is that, our Hmong children are being taught with a biased mindset since the last several decades. And they are being taught that their ancestral history doesn't exist, but they are someone else. Like, you know, to be specific, they have been taught that they are actually the Mai, the Dongyi, the Ma people, right? So there are lots of fundings today that are glorifying those names, and there is no funding yet to glorify our Hmong name and Hmong history. So we need more people um, like you yourself and others who still want to retain a Hmong heritage to promote a true Hmong name and true Hmong history so we can truly be ourselves. I hope that answers your question. It's kind of long, but back to
Mm,
you.
it's good. It's good.
Mhm.
It's good. What if the truth about Hmong history were widely accepted tomorrow? How do you think it would change the way Hmong people see themselves and how the world see us?
Well, I strongly believe that if Mong accept our true history and our true Hmong name, Hmong around the globe will be able to reconnect and bond again. For example, our Hmong in Central Asia, our Hmong people that are in Russia today, Hmong in Mongolia, Hmong in Korea. Those Hmong are in northern China now, and the Hmong that are in southern China will be able to reconnect if we accept our true Hmong history. Being able to reconnect will eventually heal and uplift our people for a better future. So Hmong had, many kingdoms in the past, and Hmong was and is a strong people. So the world will respect us more by knowing that, Hmong, if we have our original history, our true history, I believe the world will respect us more. Okay. Okay, back to you.
Okay, okay. No, that's true, that's true. But like, what if the elders you spoke to were wrong? How would you know?
Well, for sure, the things that our elders told us about our history are from memories and from word by mouth, from generation to generation. Their stories can be told differently sometimes. And that may not be exactly as it used to be, or the details may not be there anymore, but there's a truth to it. Perhaps, their story are not perfectly preserved, but our elders' version would be more accurate than what others are saying about us, right? Uh, do you believe that?
Y-
Um,
Yeah.
besides, my research and writing is to validate the stories told by our ancestors and our elders. It turned out to be true. Um, there are artifacts and literatures that support what our Hmong elders are saying about our history and who we are. If there are evidence to support what they are saying, they cannot be wrong. And there are evidences to support what other people are writing about us, in the last century or a few decades. And those theories are wrong. And I hope to discuss with you more, in the days to come.
It's good. I would love to like talk about it more in the future for sure.
Mhm.
Um, since you're talking about Hmong people and like your book, like where were the Hmong people, our ancestors, situated during the height of the Mongolian Empire, and how their circumstances changed following the fall of the empire?
Can you repeat that question one more time?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So like where were the Hmong people, our ancestors, situated during the height of the Mongolian Empire, and how did their circumstances change following the empire's decline?
Okay. To understand a Hmong history and people, we have to speak from the Hmong's point of view. And like I stated earlier, Hmong established multiple kingdoms before Genghis Khan came into power. First of all, the term Mongolian, or the country Mongolia, is a newer thing. Mongolia was established in 1921, and the government adopted Genghis Khan as the founder of Mongolia. Now, we have to understand that modern day Mongolia has more than 20 ethnicities. and they only had less than 1 million population during the time of the foundation of Mongolia in 1921. Many of them, are our Hmong people who were left behind. Now, Hmong outside of Mongolia are still going by the Hmong name and recognizing the name Hmong. Now, we have to understand that their population is probably in the 50 million plus. And I hope one day the international community will allow us to do a survey so we can get a more accurate number, to those outside of Mongolia that's still admitting to be Hmong, right? So during the time of Genghis Khan, his tribal people was known as Mong, and the official country name was known as Dorcha. Not many people know that. So going back to your question, and to answer your question, Hmong people were the elites during that time. They were the ones governing most of Eastern Asia, Central Asia, Western Asia, and Eastern Europe. Our Hmong who now survive in the Southwest and the West. The West meaning like, United States, Australia, France, and just to elaborate so people know what we're talking about. These Hmong and their ancestors were mostly in the northern steppes. They were at the Yellow River Basin and the Northeast, known as Dorcha during that time. Now, others were in Socha during that period, and Socha was Songcha. After the last Hmong Empire was divided, the eastern part became Mong country, known as Yuan Dynasty, and that's under Emperor Kublai and his successors. Hmong supported Buddhism during that time, and the Buddhists betrayed the Hmong. They helped their Yishuo and Mingshuo, also known as the Hua people, to overthrow the Hmong government. During that time, many of our ancestors did not want to go back to the harsh, cold environment in the north. So they took refuge into the ancient Jiangxi regional mountain and forests. That was the case because during that time, Hmong were high officials in both Northern Asia and Southern Asia, southern part of Yuan. Only the southern portion of the Mong country fall to the Mingshuo. Because of that situation, we have Hmong people that fled to the northwest. They fled to Tibet, back to the northern steppes in the northeast. And we, like you and myself, we are the Hmong descendants from the ancestors that took refuge into the south. With subsequent wars, our ancestors were pushed into the southwest, and they took on a new nomadic lifestyle, not on green grass, but in canyons and high elevation mountains. And I want to refer to one of the writers, Tong Ta, right? He recorded back in the 1970s that after Mong lost control to the Ming Shuo, he called it Chinese, Mong had a new way of life. He called it drifting agriculture. So, as you can see, Hmong way of life changed drastically during the fall of the empire or the fall of the southern part of Mong country. They had to do whatever it takes to survive. And it wasn't that they like that kind of lifestyle. Okay, back to you. I talked a little long.
No, it's okay. Yeah. So, so if we came to see that our ancestors were once colonizers, but now we're being colonized, how would that change our sense of who we are? There's more into the question, but I'll ask it slowly.
Okay. Um, well, first of all, what do you mean by, I I think, did you ask about something about traditional narrative?
Yeah, so basically, like how you said that we conquered, most of like Asia and kind of like the Middle Asia too. Like if if we came to realize that what you said about Hmong history is true, which it is, but most people don't accept that, how would we see ourselves as once colonizers? Like, how would that make us feel? Because the majority, from what I've realized, that a lot of them do not want to accept that fact that we were once colonizers.
Uh-huh. Um, well, first of all, I want us to think, um, like, is there any race in this planet Earth that was known not to never colonize, right? And I believe that all race that exists colonize one point or another throughout history. And I want us to look at Hmong history from the Hmong's point of view and from the truth. You know, in my book, I stress that it was the Sammiao's ancestor, the Mang that pushed into the Hmong's territory, which is the Central Plain and the Yellow River Basin. So Hmong were forced northward and westward. Our ancestors, actually came back and settled at the Yellow River Basin again. That was during the time that our ancestor, Fati Mong and his successor, were the leaders. Now, due to subsequent conflict, others joined the Mai Sammiao. So other Hmongs left the Yellow River Basin again, back to the northern steppes. Later, about 500 and 600 years later, that's during Shang Dynasty, Northern Hmong actually came back and took control of the Yellow River Basin again during Zhou Dynasty. They ruled for at least over 800 years. Now, again, history repeat itself. Hmong were pushed out again by some males' descendants, the Mai, the Yishuo people. Now, to be specific, that's the Yishuo, Qing, and Chu kingdoms that led to the Han Dynasty. Hmong ancestors gradually came back and took control of the Yellow River Basin again from the 16 kingdoms up until Mong Dynasty, okay, Yuan Dynasty. Lastly, we lost control, of our ancestral land to the Yishuo again during Ming Dynasty. By Qing Dynasty, many of our Hmong people were integrated into the Manchu or Manchurian. They were further integrated into the Republic of China and then the People's Republic of China. Those who were converted into Miao and others during the People's Republic of China were integrated. Now you and I, we are the leftover who did not get integrated, or should I say, we did not get Sinicized, okay? I know people understand the term Sinicization. Now, with our country, we are still the ones that uphold the Hmong alliance, the covenant that our Hmong ancestors started with. We are still here. Every Hmong should be proud of it. Now, I hope that answers your question. I know it's kind of long, but back to you.
No, it's good, it's good. Like with this question, like Hmong people with all the male history saying that we're all like, we lost this, we lost that. With this question in mind, like we're always told that we were the victims, but history shows otherwise from what you said. We were once the oppressors, and now we're back as victims. Does it make us feel like karma? Or like is it just a sense of same cycle of power coming full circle?
Well, I think it's just a norm of history. I think, like I say, all race, all human ethnicities in this planet Earth that went through. At a period, if we don't rule over other people, they will rule over us, right? And that's what our ancestors did. They had to take charge, they had to take control. Now, if they didn't, then they will be ruled by other people. Just like right now, as a new era, our people is being suppressed by other ethnicities, not just in China, but around the globe. And, you know, for example, we have Mong in Afghanistan. Right now, they are being oppressed by um, the Taliban. Okay, somehow I went blank. Yeah, they're being oppressed by the Taliban. We have Hmong people that are there. People didn't know that. Okay, now when our ancestors were rulers, yeah, they made the Mai into slaves, and obviously, like I say, if during that time, if they don't take charge, they don't become the rulers, then Mai will be the ruler, right? And obviously, you know what? It doesn't matter who become the ruler. There's always been unjustified situations where people think that it's being oppressed, but it's just the nature of human. And our Hmong need to understand that. So it's important that whether our ancestors were being conquered or they were the conqueror, we still have to accept the true history, and we cannot make lies about it. We cannot turn a blind eye to our history, right? We have to accept the truth. And I think that should be the way.
Yeah, true, true, true. With that in mind, like since we know about Mongolian history is known for its brutal warfare, do you think that's one of the reasons why some Hmong people hesitate to accept the history that you're proposing?
Um, well, like I say, all major wars were brutal. Um, I don't know if you can think of one major war that is not brutal. First of all, Mongolians are great loving people, and they are very hospitality. The problem here is that the world is afraid of our Hmong name, and I think many are still inferior to it.
Really? Why
Yeah,
do you say that? Like, what makes you think that?
well, we'll talk more about it, but there were things that weren't perfect. But Hmong ancestors created great history and legacies. Like I previously stated that our Hmong ancestors created great kingdoms before Genghis Khan and before the country Mongolia exists, right? Now they established great empires before the Hmong empires, or what people classify into as the Mongol Empire. Okay, and Mongol is a new thing, like I've been always been saying, and we will touch base more on Hmong and Mongol. People don't know that our Hmong ancestors created great kingdoms. And I'm sure that the people in China know that, okay? Because um, there's literatures, there's facts that our Hmong name and people exist, especially at the Yellow River Basin, uh, throughout many countries and many kingdoms. So we should be proud of our Hmong history. We should be awakened and help others to understand the Hmong legacies, stand strong and fight for our rights to protect our Hmong history and our Hmong heritage, like any other ethnicities would do, right? And I think we should tell the world that Hmong are not brutal. Hmong are not barbaric. Hmong does not mean retardation, or, Hmong does not mean warmongering. We need to tell the whole world, pretty much to stop hating our Hmong name and people. Our ancestors were great, and no one should be afraid of us. Those times of great warfares were long gone. This is the 21st century. So, let us tell the world who we are. Uh, do not let others dictate who we are. It's not about accepting Mongolians' history. It's about accepting Hmong history. And as I pointed out, Hmong established great multiple kingdoms before the existence of Genghis Khan. And those kingdoms, were Hmong history. Now, are there Mongolians' history as well? If Mongolians are accepting the name Hmong, then yes, Hmong history is part of Mongolian history too. My point is that Hmong history goes way back, than Genghis Khan. And we have to realize that. So accepting Hmong history does not mean you are accepting Mongolian history. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, back to you.
That's really mind-blowing, So like when looking through these Hmong history from what you went through, what obstacles did you face when you start trying to find Hmong people?
Um, well, it was very hard at first, and I have to admit that. But I had to adjust to it as the time went by. Each country has its own regulations and how um, things are run. When I first started this journey, I wanted to um, visit our Hmong people and to study Hmong history, mainly in China. But at the time, there was no school. Um, no school has a Hmong history program. And not many people know that from 1949 until 1979, China defined its people into 56 ethnicities. So schools in China are only allowed to teach about those ethnics. So traveling to libraries and museums or just to learn about Hmong people history is very difficult because there's none made available. Okay. A lot of our people are living in the mountains and rural regions. So to get to them was not easy. Roads condition was bad at a lot of the mountain and canyons regions during that time. Just to give you an example, traveling from Kunming to Wengshan in 2008, it took me at least a whole day. Now roads and transportation had improved. It only takes about 4 to 5 hours now. And you have to understand that when I'm in Wenshan, I had to go up to the mountains. That would take another 2 to 6 hours, depending on where I'm going. And it depends on whether I can find, rides. So once I got to a town with ride, from there I had to hike on dirt roads anywhere from 1 to 3 hours to get to the top of the Mong village, and to get to Mong village pretty much. So hiking up and down those mountain terrains made it very hard, especially during raining season. And, as you can see, once in Kunming, it takes 2 to 3 days to get to a Hmong village. So that wasn't easy. There were times that I had to sleep on the roads. Now, that's pretty hard, right? When you have to sleep on the roads, it's dark and you can't find a place to sleep. So I end up sleeping on the roads, several times. Now in China, not all hotels accept foreigners. So in some regions, it was really difficult to find a place to sleep for the night. When I was in major cities, it was easier. But once I traveled to smaller towns, it was harder to find a place for the night. Imagine, you don't speak Mandarin, or your Mandarin is not fluent. That makes it very difficult. Now, once my Mandarin got improved, things got easier and things got better. I hope that kind of gave you an idea of what I faced, during those times. Back to you.
Mm. Dang, like that's like a journey, like, and then we like later on, we can later on, but other episodes we can speak upon your journey and like what you went through and all that jazz for sure. Because
Yeah,
that's
for sure.
like a whole like another whole episode on that too.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. It's my
Mhm.
pleasure to tell you about it.
Mm. So the question I'm gonna ask is that, like a lot of people be saying like, oh, but like we have evidence of male history. What's your evidence? Like, what's your primary sources or evidence that you found that supports your version of Hmong history?
Well, if you read my book, there are bits and pieces of information uh, that shed light on the Hmong history. And I list those evidences and references in the book. Um, First of all, I want to address that anyone who has not read it, I encourage you to download the book. It's the electronic version from our website called mongheritage.org. I hope to update that book with new information that I have gathered since the last few years. And hopefully I can share um, more evidence to the people. But since you ask, I want to share a few evidence right now. Like, first of all, um, most of the Hmong in the Southwest are claiming that they only settle there since, the last few hundred years. Others say it was during the Ming Dynasty that our Hmong ancestors settled into the Southwest. Now, those are evidence, okay, um, that they were pushed out from Jiangxi and from the east of Songchao, okay? So from the oral history, that does not match Miao history, which Myanmar people had been living in the Southwest for at least 2 to 3,000 years. Historical records, also says that Miao are Mayi people, and they spoke the Mong language. Now, secondly, I have met people that were defined into Mongolian, that they were defined into Turks, they were defined into Han Chinese, and others, especially Miao. Now we have people that they self-reference Mong at home. So it's very important that these are evidence, right? That our Hmong people were being categorized or defined since 1949 until 79 into other national ethnics in China. There are other Hmong that were categorized into other national groups as well. And Hmong has to understand that. No, these are facts and evidence that we are not Miao people, okay? If we are truly Miao people, why are there other Hmong people that also exist in other Hmong or other national ethnics? Now think about it, okay? Now, thirdly, I found that all literatures before the Republic of China only document that Ma Yi or Yi Nan Man Bai Ye, okay, of some Miao were Miao people, okay? There is no one piece of literatures that say Miao were Hmong people. Like I say, both Hmong history and people and Miao Mai people history exist. Now, keep that in mind, okay? As we talk about Hmong history and Miao history. Now, I want to explain a little more about Yi or Ma Yi, okay? Yi actually includes the Dong Yi, the Xi Yi, the Nan Yi, and the Bei Yi, okay? Meaning the Eastern Yi, the Xi Yi is the Western Yi, Nan Yi were like the Southern Yi, Bei Yi or Northern Yi. And these Yi people are often referred in ancient literatures as the Four Yi. Now, at a lot of the times, these Yi were known to be Ma people, okay? So we have to understand that these ancient ethnic names and so forth did not mean barbarians during those times. It was only since the last century that people started to define these ethnic names into the meaning of barbarians. So that changes history. So as we follow Hmong history and Mai history, we have to understand these terms. Now, fourth, I found that Fati Fotai's Hmong, Fati Fotai's people were Hmong people, okay? And Chiyo's people were known to be Mai's, Yishua's people. Now, these are evidence. And Fatis went by the family name or clan name Ji, while Chiyo's family name was Jiang. Now, think about it for a moment. Do our Hmong people has the name or the family name called Jiang. Okay. But modern day, um, modern day Chinese, okay, I'm talking about like the Southern Han, the Mai, and other national people in China, they are going by the family name Jiang. Okay. It's very important that Qiu's family name does not exist among people. Now, that is evidence, right? Next, there are literature evidence that says Hmong were northern people during the time of Summer. Hmong were northern people during Han Dynasty up until Sui Dynasty. Now, we have literatures that documents about Hmong people. And Hmong were not southern people, okay? Like Summer, Mai, they had always been at the Yangtze River or to the south for at least 4,000 years now. Hmong did not immigrate into the south from Sui dynasty up until Qing dynasty. And the migration of Hmong from north to south was not a one-time thing, okay? They came at different times. It happened over the course of history. The majority of southwestern Hmong and their ancestors did not come or immigrate into the south until the last three dynasties. That's mainly the Mong dynasty, Yuan dynasty, Ming, and Qing dynasty. Now, those are evidence, okay? Now, last but not least, recently, I just learned that Hmong in the United States are teaching and promoting male history based on the books Haimong Lisi. Okay, this is one of them. Haimong Lisi, written by a historian called Wu Rongzhen, and co-author was, Yang Zhouye, sister Yang Cai, and father Zibli Niebo, right? And other male articles, such as by, I believe is Keith Quincy, History of a People, okay? Now, these are evidence as well. And I just learned that these are what our people in the United States are using to teach our children. So I'm going to reference, or I'm going to read out a few phrases from this book so our Hmong people will understand, okay, based on historical literatures that are written by historians from China, okay? So bear with me. I'm going to take a few minutes to read a few phrases so we will learn more. Let's see. Okay. Page. I'm going to take off my glass because I have double vision. Okay, page 52. Here, they stated that I'm going to read Mong, okay, because this book is actually written in Mong. It says, it was translated into Mong, okay? On page 52, it says that Mong Lung Bei Te Ka Shao Wa Miao, okay, Miao, they translate to Mong, Hmonood. Te Ka Shao Wa Ma, Te Ka Shao Wa Yi, okay? So, Ha Mong Bei Ya Ma Te Yi, okay? Now, on the next page, it says, Per Ma Pa Hu Tao U La Ya Diao Ma Chen Zhong Diao Ma 对不对？叫马五令，叫马长沙，贴马龙家，叫马帕虎要蒙贴，叫白友集中头屋。Now, these are evidence that they say we are Ma, okay? Um, let me see. Okay. One more thing. Let me see. On page 198. Okay, I got a note here. Okay. Later in another chapter, it says, 来摸种梦和我妙人，故和我苗妈，那种梦也和苗妈呢，来还得苗梦，来得梦也一海内，我在落海，路去起老几桌里说，那 Okay, so on this chapter, it does say Mong Ma, okay, Myanmar people. See, okay, I apologize for that. Like I said, I have double vision, so sometimes I have to take off my glass.
Yeah, don't worry about
Okay.
that.
Or another example in the same book, another chapter, it says, okay, this is from a historian from China, okay? Mong ye giáo chung the also did no who are ma pa hu, okay? Ta giờ cho mong của nhau xa xí na cụ mua cứ火别做怕乎 Okay, so they say mong ya ma pa hu no no. Okay, in this chapter. Another one says, okay, another page here. It says, Your ma 我要梦我娘的无论长沙贴紧路家也怕狐狸生人生子。Okay, they continue to claim that Mong Yama, okay? Let me see, I have one more or no more. Let's see. Okay, one more. Let's see. Page 46. Okay, one more, and let's wrap it up. Okay, now this one, it says, 大家呢老的生人生子，或话多节模糊话马伊，嘅就冇呢，就一海内做嘅都。Wow, why are we teaching this to our children? Um,
Wait,
I'm
that's
gonna
what it
say in
says?
English.
What the
It
heck?
said, we, our ancestor, were Mai, and we are a people, a stingy people, and stupid people. Okay. Now, I think that's absurd. Why are they teaching this to our children? All right. No, this is male history. I just don't know what to say, but back to you. These are evidence. Okay.
Yeah, I read the book, but I like kind of skimmed through it and some parts, but I never read that part about what you just said.
Well, like I say, there's evidence everywhere that
Hmm.
male are my people. And, somehow there's people out there that want us to be my people. And obviously, our people, a lot of our people are claiming that they're my people. So, like I say, it's very sad seeing how these things are being taught to our Hmong children, and people.
Hmm. Dang. With with what all you just said, like, are there any scholars even outside the Hmong community who supports or align with your research?
Well, you know what? I believe we have a lot of scholars and professors, if not outside of the United States, obviously in the US, we do have a lot of them. I don't know why are they hiding the information. Look, I don't know why they are hiding the information in historical books that are written by historians from China. They've been teaching in the last 3 decades to our children and promoting that we are male, some male people, but they refuse to reveal the information that these literatures define our people into Mayi, Nama people. Okay, um, like I told our people, we do not support our own history. No one outside of our Hmong community will. To answer your question, so far, not one person had come forward to challenge my research and point of view yet. Okay. Beside, you know, you probably hear like rumors here and there, but there's no particular scholars or professors that were willing to come and debate with me on this issue. Okay. And I hope that as we talk about male history and Hmong history, a lot of these Hmong scholars and not Hmong scholars will open up their mind and will see that what I'm teaching is actually true. But back to you,
Mhm.
Lu.
Yeah, gosh, like if our history were never rewritten, how do you imagine Hmong people would see themselves today?
Well, if our history was never been written, not our, okay, but part of our Hmong were redefined to be Mi'o people. Now, our people of the Southwest and elsewhere, um, if we were never defined into other people's history, I believe that our people would have not been this much segregated and divided, to the point where Hmong refused to accept the true Hmong history and the true Hmong name. But instead, they learned it to accept that there were Miao Mayi people, because that's what's been taught in the last several few decades. I believe our people would have been more united. Hmong would have not been so lost, and our children, would have better self-esteem or higher self-esteem, more self-confident, and we would not have self-discrimination against our own Hmong name and history. Now, I believe that Hmong children uh, would have more self-confidence, like I said, and would have more higher self-esteem if they knew who they truly are. Now, who we are being dictated by others. This creates low self-esteem and segregation among the Hmong people. It would be better if we get to tell the world who we are. I want to say this to everyone. Let us have our self-determination and do not allow others to ethnically suppress the Hmong. That's how I truly feel. Okay, so back to you.
That's I think it's really good. Yeah, you're really right. Like with the Hmong people in mind, like how strong we could have been, if everything wasn't rewritten, if
Uh-huh.
everything wasn't so like it's just like I don't know, all the Hmong people like don't like what you said like oh Hmong should love Hmong, Hmong love Hmong,
Yeah.
It's just like it can't happen with this history being rewritten and being like given to us by other people who weren't even Hmong.
Hmm.
So we have to fix our history first for sure.
Right, right. You're right. You're right on that point. We need to fix our history, or we need to come back and accept our true history.
Mm.
Okay. And don't accept others' history. Well, it actually converting our people into others' people. So when you accept Miao Nama by years history, after you, like us, our generation, once we disappear, our children will automatically say, yeah, we actually Mai people because historical books say so, right?
Mhm.
And where does it begin? It begins in the last half century. It did not begin 200 years ago. It did not begin 500 years ago. It just began in the 20th century. So it was recently, okay? And we have to know that.
I think it's just because it's easier for people to just accept it and not like challenge the narrative for sure.
Right. I also believe that because our people do not have the knowledge, we do not know the truth. So we just accept what historians or scholars wrote about us in the last few decades. And they believe that's true because now, if you go to China, you actually found Hmong people that are admitting that they are Miao Nama people, right? So they say, oh, yeah, we are Hmong people. But when they talk to other people, they're like, yeah, we're Miao people, you see? So they get confused. They're like, you're either Hmong or Miao because Hmong and Miao were not the same, right? But because of the redefinition, reclassify, they are making Hmong and Miao into the same thing. So like if you go to like Yunnan to go see the museum, okay? The National Museum in Yunnan, you go to see the Hmong cultural artifacts. There's none, okay? But you go to see the Miao culture artifacts. Oh, there's plenty. Everything that belongs to Hmong are now classified as Miao, Nama, Mai's culture artifacts. Now, isn't that sad? Right? So we have to realize that, hey, what's going on here? Like I say, a lot of the things did not make sense when I first went to China to see the Hmong people and to visit, our people. Things just didn't make sense. How can a Hmong clothing being identified that belongs to Nama people, right? That belongs to the Miao Mai heritage. No, that does not make sense to me at all. I don't know if it makes sense to you.
No, no, it
Right.
doesn't. So like any last like things to say about Hmong people?
Well, like I say, you know, I I hope that people will tune in into our conversation today. And I thank you for this opportunity. I know that you really like to understand the truth about Hmong history and our culture and our people. That's why I decided to do this with you. But one last word for our people and the audience. Remember, both Hmong history and Miao history exist. Both Hmong people and Miao Mai people exist. Okay. Now, since you know that's if that's the true, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna choose to be Hmong or are you gonna choose to be Miao? Right. So I don't think it's a hard decision, but it is a hard decision for those who had already accepted Miao since the last few decades. And they've been promoting it. So I know it's going to be harder for you guys. But for those that aren't decided yet, unsure what to do. Now we're telling you that both Mo and Mel exist, and they're different people with different culture, different history. And we will be talking more about it. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everybody, and thank you, TaiChiMing. Like the answers may not all come today, but yeah, we keep on putting out some episodes here and there so they can ask. And if you have any comments or questions that you want to ask, put them down below. And what you heard today may challenge what you thought or knew. So this is Unresolved Long Topics where silence ends and search begins. Until next time, okay? Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
Bye.